Hello everybody, it's Mr. Snowdall here and I'm back once again. This time I'm here to carry out some race predictions. There was a bit of a delay in my uploads, I'm sorry about that. I was kind of getting sorted with a new microphone, so hopefully the quality is a bit better. Also in the background now you'll see some Car Mechanic Simulator is my new background watching. It's just to keep on Team Formula 1 cars standard enough job. Now, we might as well jump straight into it. Formula 1 is finally returning to Australia and the Albert Park circuit since the very start of COVID-19. A track that is so ingrained in F1 history, it's absolutely bonkers to think that there's an entire generation of new fans from the Drive to Survive era that have never even seen a race here. So, what should we expect at all? Well, first off, the racing here is going to be a bit different than what we're used to from previous years. They've made some changes to the track to remove some slow speed corners, and they've added an additional DRS zone, which should drastically increase the speed of the track. Might offset slightly what the old cars were used to or are able to perform, but we should see a lot more overtaking. This is going into the high speed chicane. So hopefully it'll line. If I don't know if we're going to see overtakes going in there, we'll probably see one completed on the straight, but it might line up another one for the following DRS zone. This could be an absolute beauty of a race with these new generation of cars, so far demonstrating that they have the ability to follow fairly well. Will that continue? We shall hope. Now, in terms of teams and performance, what do we think is going to happen? Now, I'm thinking it's going to be fairly similar to Bahrain in terms of there's a mix of slow speed corners as well as a good few long straights. So, without further ado, I'll jump straight into predictions there for you. Pole position, Max Verstappen. End of. I think there's a massive speed advantage in the Red Bulls in terms of the straights. And with the numerous DRS zones, I think this could play into their hands unless Ferrari have a very good low drag setup or decide to crank their engines up fairly highly. But I think Verstappen will take it. It'll be a close battle for pole, but I think it's going to be his. Now, race win, going to throw it out there. I think it's going to be Carlos Sainz. The man is going to redeem himself and absolutely ace this race. Or, more likely, after the battles that we've seen with Leclerc and Verstappen and the numerous DRS zones and overtaking opportunities, we might finally have a crash between the two of them. And Carlos might sweep in and scoop this up. It could be Perez, but I think Sainz is out to prove himself. He's done quite well the last while, but Perez could be there as well. I'm not sure. It's going to be up there. Now, in terms of the podium, I think there's going to be a surprise podium here, or at least I'm hoping for it in my heart now, of Valtteri Bottas. I think he's going to keep up with his performance from Bahrain, where he was doing quite well with the slow speed corners. I know they've said that they're not the best in the high speed, but they did fairly well in Jeddah before his retirement. So hopefully if we look at that and we have them resolve the wheel spin issue, and if he kind of has that little bit of a Valtteri spark that he can do, this could be his time. Or else I might have just jinxed it for him. I really hope I haven't. Now, in terms of the best Mercedes, I think it's going to be Lewis Hamilton. The man is going to be back with a grudge after last week. He was massively outperformed by Russell in qualifying. Now, I know he did quite well in the race after they made a few setup tweaks, so I think if they have his setup right, he's going to be out to show he is the boss. And this could be the start of the Lewis-George rivalry people were wondering was going to happen. So it's going to be a very interesting one to keep your eyes on. Bit of a wild card as well, but I think this possibly could be Williams' weekend for their first points. I think Albon has it in him. Again, if you look at Bahrain, they had it set up right. He did very well first time in that car. Especially when you consider it against Latifi, who's there before. So he's really shown he has a bit of pace in it. And again, if we're hopefully see a bit of a similar setup to that, we could be doing quite well here for him. There might be a crash up ahead. Again, we're saying if Leclerc and Verstappen take each other out, that's 2 free spaces. And if there might be a bit of unreliability, I think he could be in that position to kind of make well of a bit of a mad race if it happens, which we might see because they haven't raced here in so long. I also think this could be the chance for Mick to get his first points. He's absolutely gunning for it. It could turn into a George Russell and Williams situation where he's always just about there but might not actually get it. He did very well in Bahrain, but he had the incident with Ocon lap 1 that kind of compromised him. He was doing very well in qualifying in Jeddah before he spun out and crashed. I know it was his fault, but it's in him to get this. He's determined. You can see it in him. So he was overdriving the car. If he comes into it with a bit less of that and kind of drives a bit more naturally, we might actually see him doing very well in qualifying, and then I think he'll just hold on to his position. I can't see him, gaining much. I think he's just going to get his position and try to hold it to stay in the points. In terms of the back markers this week, I think we're going to go with Latifi. And then after that, I think it's going to be the Aston Martins. Based off their performance the last while, Seb coming back from COVID, this might be just a bad weekend for them, as always. So I think that's what's going to happen. Now, who tends to normally be in the back, we're not used to seeing it, but McLaren, I think this is actually going to be a fairly good week for them. Possibly a double or a single points finish. Looking at the race temperatures, it looks like it could be a bit cooler for them, so they mightn't have any issues with their brakes. I'm not a technical expert, but that's just what I'm hoping for, thinking maybe. And provided they can handle the straights, if they bottom out a bit of that porpoising, we might actually see quite a good return here for them. So let's keep hoping. We want a very interesting midfield battle, so this could be great to see. Basically, that's quick and easy. That's my predictions for this year's Australian Grand Prix. Let me know if you agree or disagree down below in the comments, or if you want to let me know what any of your predictions might be. I'll be back next week with a review of the race, and if you want to keep up with any of the comments to do with the Formula 1 or anything like that, please like and subscribe, and go on and have an absolutely amazing day. Thank you very much.